Very simple lesson there for us. How many of you want to get to the heavenly Canaan promised land? You must believe. Without faith, it's impossible to please God. You must believe he can do what he's promised. And if I were to ask you right now, how many of you believe that he has a mansion he's preparing for you in heaven? I think every hand would go up. I believe the promises of God. But if I were to say, how many of you believe that he can give you victory over sin? You know why? Because we failed so many times. We think, well, but I believe God, but I don't believe in myself. This is probably the most important place for us to trust his promise and how it plays out in your victory. Because, we're real long on believing that God can do what he can do outside of what he does in us. Probably the most important place for us to realize trust and faith in God is not that he can part oceans out there and rain fire and brimstone down on the enemies, but do you believe he can keep his promise about giving you a new heart? Do you believe he can keep his promise about keeping you from falling? Oh, come on, let me hear an amen. Better than that. Even if you have to manufacture that amen, you ought to do it because it might influence your own heart. Our unbelief insults him. When Israel stopped believing in the promises of God, they lost the promised land.